So I think there's just a few things as we go back to school that you might want to think about if you have a child that has asthma. I think you want to be having conversations with your pediatrician or with your subspecialist, whether it's a pulmonologist, whether it's an allergist, around a couple of things. Number one, you want to have a good conversation about whether your child's asthma is under control as you go into the school year. Now, we think about asthma control really based on how often we're having symptoms or how bad those symptoms are, right? So are we needing our rescue inhaler on a regular basis? Are we needing it once or twice a week during the day? Are we needing it more than once or twice a month at night? That's too much, right? Are we having any exercise limitation? Are we not able to do the sports and things that we want to do because we're needing to go use our rescue inhaler? We've got really good ways to prevent those symptoms. Are we having exacerbations that are requiring steroids, right? We don't want to be on the oral steroids at all or no more than once a year, but really ideally we should be able to make it through viral illness or other asthma exacerbations without needing systemic steroids. And so in general, are we having exacerbations? One of our number one predictors of having an asthma exacerbation is having a recent asthma exacerbation. So our goal is to prevent chronic symptoms and minimize risk, meaning we don't want to be having asthma exacerbations. So as you talk about with your pediatrician, talk about asthma control, you also want to go back and use this as an opportunity to look back at the medicines that they're on, making sure that they're appropriate based on that level of control. Are they really well controlled, and maybe there's some chance for weaning or coming down off medicines? Or is their asthma not under control and there's some chance or movement to go up or to change our medicines? But just going back through the medicines that your child is on, making sure that you understand what they're for, making sure that you understand how often you're supposed to be giving them, just this back to school time is a really good opportunity to do that. And in that, going through the medicines, I think having what we call an asthma action plan is really important. The asthma action plan is something that's important for you to have at home, but it's also important for you to bring that to school, right? There's, I think, a really strong case for the school nurse to have a copy of that asthma action plan. Often on that action plan, it will include a listing of what at least the identified triggers are for your child, but it's going to also show what sort of daily preventative medicines are. It's usually going to indicate a little bit of a sort of a kind of a severity. Are they mild intermittent asthma? Do they have moderate asthma? Do they have more severe asthma? And that is helpful, I think, to the school nurse. But then also, what kind of medicines do we use in terms of exacerbations? And then importantly, are there other allergy meds or other rescue medicines that the school nurse may have? And then do they have exercise-induced asthma? So should they be coming down to use albuterol before sports or in response to symptoms? I think as you're going through that action plan, identifying potential triggers, or if there's now new symptoms that we weren't having before, do we need to delve into that and identify new or potentially changing triggers? And then making sure that you've got refills for all your medicines and making sure that you've got all the school forms, right? So most of the schools require some form signed by the doctor to allow the child to have the inhaler with them or to have the inhalers at the school, in case the child needs them. So this is just a really good chance to go over asthma control, to go over that asthma action plan, to make sure that your medications are current and that you've got refills and that you understand what they're supposed to be on, looking and talking about asthma triggers, and then making sure you have all the appropriate paperwork. Fall back too close, you ain't even know me. Trust my word is wrong, way back from the north. Me and the